This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the U.S. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, May 1st, only on Netflix.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. Here are your hosts, Steve Collins and Greg Berg.
Hey, Coach. Welcome to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. I'm so excited you decided to join. Before we jump in, real quick, go over and check out Coach Berg's website, gberg.gumroad.com. It is awesome. You will not be disappointed. It's a little bit of everything. There's free resources over there with a preseason checklist, off-season playbook, all sorts of great things. Go over and check it out. All half of it's free. I should yell at him for all the free stuff he's giving away, but it's great. His team leader OS is awesome. So go over and check that out. Also, when you're there and you're thinking about it, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. You take that leadership, you take all the stuff that I have built over the last 30 years to build a nationally ranked team, to be nationally ranked, to win 3 state championships. Everything I have learned over the last 30 years is in teachhoops.com. Go over and check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. 14-day free trial. And let's head off to the podcast. Bye. All right. Welcome to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. Coach, how are you doing? This is a great topic. I'm very excited about the topic.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Gearing up and excited about.
I know we're all kind of we were just off the air. We were talking about getting ready for the season, and I know it's like teaching, because I know you were a teacher and you're an admin now, but it's like you think it would get easier with time. It doesn't. It's like
no, and the fall starts, and like I was telling someone the other day, we're closer to basketball starting than we are to the 4th of July. Once the school year starts, it sneaks up on you. It
does. It's very quick. So today we're going to talk about leaders versus captains, and this is intriguing. Are they different? Are they the same? Thoughts? Go ahead, Coach. You're the expert on this.
Yeah, and I think this can be more of a discussion and back and forth, but there's a huge difference. A captain is simply a position and a title. It's a letter on a shirt if you're a professional athlete or whatever it may be. A leader is someone that actually influences and can make a difference in the locker room, on the field. And in a perfect world, our captains are our leaders. And I think as we talk about captain selection with coaches, one reason this is so important is, you may think that your captain has the voice of the team, but in many cases, they may not be the tone setter. They may not be that one person that everyone hears. And in differentiating and knowing if you have captains, great, but knowing the difference between captains and leaders and kind of working with both of them, I think is really important as a coach. I think of one video that I just watched it again today, and it's one of the most famous soccer coaches in the world, Jose Marina, who I think is a Portuguese soccer coach. And he had a video online, and he's talking about the difference between leaders and captains. And he told a story where a guy on his team who was the leader of his team, not necessarily the captain of his team, came to him before a halftime speech, because I think their team was just stinking it up, and he was about ready to go in and kind of lay into the team. And as a team leader, this guy went up to the coach and said, "Coach, wait outside for 2 minutes. I have this." And the player went in, the leader went in and laid the expectations and just basically had that talk with the team that the coach was going to have. He comes back out of the locker room and he says, "We're good, coach us." And so basically what he did is he took that responsibility off the coach to lead the team, and he just wanted a coach to come in and coach us. And that's really what you want with a player-led team. I mean, when you have a coach-led team, a coach has to go in the locker room. A coach has to not only, motivate the team and get them refocused, whatever it may be, but you got to focus on the coaching piece as well and the adjustments. And this is the benefit of leadership. And so how do we get to that point? That's my ongoing goal.
That's the question.
How do you
get a 17-year-old to do that?
It's hard. I mean, for a high school kid, it's hard. I think you have to build it over time. Like, you can't all of a sudden get to a senior year of a kid and say, all right, now it's time to be a leader. Like, you have to be having these ongoing conversations, developing those leaders, those kids from a very, very young age, so that when they get to that point where they're a junior, senior on your team and you need them to lead, you can talk to them about what they need to do ahead of time, and they're ready to do it. But it can't just happen overnight.
No, and I think you got to give them, I mean, you have to teach them. Like, I have done this multiple times, like, grab somebody after maybe it didn't happen and I thought it should have. It's like, well, and I'll grab them by themselves and say, hey, here's what maybe should have happened. And then I keep doing it over and over and over again. It's like, and then the good ones, the leaders, it will click. I've done it and it has never clicked.
Yep.
But
if you don't have those conversations, it's never going to happen. Right. And it's, we are what we emphasize. Right. So if we keep having these ongoing, and these are small conversations, I'm with you. It's pulling them after practice. It's before practice. It's in the hallway. It's calling them in during study hall. It's you're guiding them no different than you guide your own kid dealing through their own struggles growing up. It's the same thing. You are molding them and teaching them how to react, how to lead in these situations, so that when they get into them, because the bottom line is, when you need them to lead, it's a pressure situation. It's not, it's an intense situation. Generally, someone needs to step up. You have to talk about that ahead of time. You can't do it in the moment. Like, they have to be prepared. No different than they have to be prepared for those moments in a game. Like, you prepare them in practice for that.
Right. And I think I see this everywhere. I definitely in education, because we're both in education. You can see it from department heads. You can see it from principals. You can see it from I mean, just because you have the title doesn't mean you're the leader of the leader. And superintendents. You can go all the way up to the secretary of education if you want. But I think it's all that stuff. And I mean, I'm sure it's like that in every business, every job, every title doesn't make you the ones that they're going to follow. I mean, what movie was it? Oh, Band of Brothers. It's like, you could see it in that movie if you've ever watched Band of Brothers.
Yep.
They weren't necessarily following. I mean, it was the CEO. It just depended on. They weren't necessarily following. They were following their group leader or whatever it was.
It's so true. And a great example would be looking at a student section in a basketball volleyball game where it can get a little bit crazy out of hand. As a principal, I know exactly the 2-3 kids I have to talk to before that game. They may not be the captains in their sports or the leaders in their sports, but they have the voice of that student section. And those are the ones you have to talk to. And it's no different. Like you said, it's all facets of life.
That's a great analogy too, because you're right. It's like, I can after 2 home games know exactly who's running the student section.
Yep. And then the question is, how do you influence them? I mean, leadership is influence. How do I influence them? How do we influence anybody? How do we influence everyone? I mean, that's what leadership is. But you got to find the tone setters. You have to find those those leaders. And on our teams, we have to find out who those players are. I know on our team, kids who are tone setters and our captains and our leaders on our team may do that, but then there's another level of tone setter, maybe in the locker room or whatnot. And it's that kid that isn't maybe a captain, doesn't have great leadership skills in certain areas, but he has the voice of the team. And I'll talk to that student player a lot like I would talk to a captain on the side and talk about how valuable he is. You're not a captain, you're a leader. This is what I need from you, and really try to mold him, because I know the influence he has on our team. Finding those kids out is really important. I think we'll talk about that coming up as well.
And yes, I think it's a selection. Yes, we'll talk about that next week when we talk about the selection of captains. But I think, and I think for the younger coaches, it definitely gets easier with time a little bit. To pick some of those out, and kind of, 20 years ago it would have been harder for me I can probably pick them out right. I know I can pick them out right now, because there's a sense.
And I think when you're young, you're so worried about other things. You're so worried about the X's and O's. You're so worried about the organizational pieces of coaching and all the things you have to manage, that the things that often slip when you're a young coach are developing culture and leadership. And I think as we get older, those other things become easy, or we understand maybe less important.
Right.
And now we shift our focus on culture and leadership more. And I guess that's what I've found. So there is a progression to that for sure.
There is. And then next week we're going to talk about, so we're foreshadowing here for those that are English teachers. We're foreshadowing next week we're going to talk about captain selection, which I think I have a handful of days that are very important. I think that's one of them. I'll even tease out. I have other days that are really important when you're picking a team. Captain selection is in that group. So, all right, until next week, Coach.
See ya.